and briefly, what's on your mind?
Let me hold it. Hey, yo, as I look around this room, if you're 35 years old or younger, raise your hand. 4 people. So here's the thing. Y'all in trouble. Yesterday you had Al Green up here talking about we need a Secretary of Reconciliation, and then that's going to include what he said was reparations, which, by the way, wasn't reparations. Reparations is more than a check, but the very first thing it is a check. And come this year during the midterms and in 2028, if you don't have our check, you won't get no vote. No check, no vote. Yeah, I know that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what's happening. All of y'all in here, with all due respect, you're beautiful, but you're old. You're not talking to the youth. You don't know how to talk to the youth. You're trying to tell us what to do. We're not having it no more. So if you want our vote, you got to come with our paper. We're not scared of Trump. We're not scared of anybody. Biden is a racist. Trump is a racist. Kamala is a racist. And if you don't have our money, you don't get our vote. Yeah, not. Who are you? Oh, all right, yeah, so like I was saying, I'm going to land my plane right there, but the Democrats are no better than the Republicans. No check, no vote. Y'all take care. And somebody get my man a tissue. He need a tissue.
Thank you. First, let me clarify something. There are many young people that are part of the National Action.
Man, I don't know. But you get provocateurs, because anybody that is talking to somebody younger than them holding the mic, then you know that they paid agents. And if you're in the room, if you don't like me saying that, I'll say it again. Because you cannot get reparations without putting people in office that's going to pay them. So talk that ignorance somewhere else. So people talking about we have been for all of our existence fighting for reparations, made every candidate pledge to it. You cannot get reparations unless you elect folk that's going to pay it. Who you going to pay yourself? So you can't at one hand say, but don't vote for everybody, they racist, but I want reparations. Who going to pay you? So either you paid or you stupid or both. I mean, I don't see nobody standing up. I didn't see whoever it was. But yeah, okay. I was at college and the guy stood up talking about, I don't believe in all that nonviolent stuff. Y'all need to get out the way and da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da. And all you punks, I said, hold it with the punk stuff. I said, because you got one punk out. You go to the second punk, you're going to get the best nonviolent whipping you ever got in your life. Because I'm not scared of the folk we fighting. I ain't scared of the folk we fighting with. So let's be clear about that.
And that is someone named Melrose doing good work, pushing the FBA agenda, reparations, and a hate crime protective bill for black people specifically. Please subscribe, hit that thumbs up. I'm Raw. I'm not familiar with Melrose, but much respect I am now. And I like what I see. You know, he made some excellent points right there. Let's be clear about a few things. He is absolutely correct that their movement is not being supported by those under the age of 35. Let's also make something clear. The FBA movement is being directed and led by people over the age of 40. Donald Trump is in his 80s, and he has a lot of support from people of all ages, including racist young white people. So you do not have to be young to lead a movement. But if you do not have young people supporting your movement will die. Right now, the black youth, meaning those that are under the age of 40, are becoming more and more sophisticated. And they are not playing the nonsense coming from the DNC and those that support it. and Reverend Al Sharpton making those comments at the end. Now, I'm hearing people on social media saying Al Sharpton won't do nothing. Listen, Al Sharpton is a man in his 70s. He is 71 years old. So perhaps he shouldn't be talking tough like that, but I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a tough guy or anything like that. Okay? Now, what he said there was out of line, out of pocket, and complete and total BS, meaning Al Sharpton. They're not fighting for reparation. That's a facade. Now, about Al Sharpton, other things that we are hearing on social media. The New York Post and the Daily News are two racist publications. Always keep that in mind when you are dealing with them. Look at how the Daily and the Post are supporting the mafia. Is Al Sharpton a rat or a cat? Well, I guess it's apparent that Al Sharpton has worked with the FBI, and he carries himself like an FBI informant. And I've said many times on this channel, the alarming number of people that are FBI informants will alarm you. And he talks and acts like an FBI informant, totally against Black progress, against Black struggle, against Black empowerment. Now, overweight Al may have put hands on somebody, but not Tweety Bird, older Al. But his attitude and his actions are that of an FBI informant, very indicative of an FBI informant.
Nothing new about this story. Joe Banner was the one that set up the meeting with this guy, Sal. So I've done a lot of things in life. Some that if I could do again, I would do differently. But in this situation, I did what was right. I did what I was always raised in the values of a praying mother to do. And I did what I tell kids every day all over this country that they should do. And that is deal with getting guns and crime out of their community and cooperate with the law. If I was doing business for James Brown, I had no choice but to meet with guys who would later be alleged or earlier be alleged to be mobsters. Well, like I was saying, hey, I heard you was with the so-and-so family. Let's chill together. It wasn't like that. The conversations were recorded, and I would record them today if somebody threatened me. Rats are usually people that were with other rats. I was not and am not a rat because I wasn't with the rats. I'm a cat. I chase rats. And whether it's a rat in racial profiling or police brutality or mobsters exploiting Black artists, don't get me confused.
Now, if he'll work with the FBI against the mob, he'll work with the FBI against the Black community, because the FBI is either paying him or they have cut him a deal to keep him out of prison for a long time. Most drug dealers and drug users are informants and rats. It could be a situation where the mob was ratting on him, so he ratted back. We don't know. But what we do know is his behavior towards the foundation of Black American uprising is very suspicious and indicative of an FBI informant. The FBI is known for infiltrating Black movements. The FBI is a white supremacist organization. They are much more treacherous and much more criminal than people realize. So understand, if you are dealing with an FBI informant, you're most likely dealing with a former criminal, whether they are an agent or an informant. These days, they are full of hackers. They are full of dope dealers. They are full of your average scumbag trash, people that have dodged prison because they were in such a high level of criminal activity that they were deemed valuable by the FBI. Now, that could mean that the mob ratted on him first and he ratted back, and you have a bunch of rats ratting on each other. But rumor has it that he has also helped to attack Black people as well. Listen, you cannot be trusted if you are an FBI informant, okay? And they come at you in a very slick manner. Like I said the other day, you never know what went down with the producer and rapper Gucci Mane and what happened at his studio allegedly. Somebody in Pooh Shiesty's group could have been an FBI informant that egged that whole thing on. You see, the FBI, they don't always solve crimes. They commit crimes. They create crimes. They harass people and try to force you into committing a crime themselves. They are not law enforcement. They are lawbreakers, but they have several levels of immunity that protect them from being prosecuted. Now, it is possible to sue an FBI agent if you can prove what they did, but that's very difficult, and most lawyers don't want to take on that task because the FBI and the federal government are known for draining your resources. They can file motion after motion after motion because they have the money, and federal court is very expensive. So keep in mind that the greasy talk and the disrespectful talk is indicative of an informant. Why? Because an informant has no fear of going to jail because they feel like they have the federal government behind them, which they do, but they are not always right about that. There are other agencies within the government that can check the FBI. Another agency can stop a prosecution or even prosecute an informant. Being an informant does not mean you are above the law. Being an agent sometimes means that you can skirt the law. But understand that the FBI are way more dirty and way more crooked than any criminal organization. Why? Because they have an added element. That element is bitch acidness. There's no code of moral. There's no code of respect when it comes to the FBI. They don't even follow the law. Some punk ass, some bitch made, backstabbing white supremacists. That's the FBI. So when you see provocateurs at some of these black movements, at some of these black get-togethers and gatherings, understand that their moves is to, again, create a crime, to harass people, and then try to get you to react. Never fall for that bait. That's why Al Sharpton is up there talking greasy, because he knows he can make a phone call to his handler, allegedly, and they can make things happen such as arrests and prosecutions. This photo from an FBI sting in 1983. Let that sink in. Someone that they used as an informant, they ended up leaking photos of him anyway. This is what the FBI does. They specialize in damaging your reputation so they can control you and the world around you. And unfortunately, most people in the world are too stupid and too weak-minded to understand why you should never believe the FBI. Whatever images they show you, even if they created it themselves, meaning even if they created the situation themselves, the public will believe it because the public are a bunch of sheep when it comes down to it. Now, back to what we were talking about. This whole thing about reparations and not voting for the Democratic nominees or the Democratic candidates, whether that is for governor, whether that is for state or federal Senate or legislature or Congress or president, is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And it cannot be stopped. Not by the FBI, not by buck dancing coons and sellouts that they employ, not by their informants, not by the DNC itself. Because see, the public has caught on to something. That is the power that the black community has. And the fact that that power has been quelled, controlled, and stamped out by people like Al Sharpton. Understand that the actions of these people that are put in place by the DNC and by the FBI and by the federal government is a lot more serious than even I realized even a few years ago. These people are evil, and they want to see Black America fall for their own benefit. So it is only right and exact to continue to call out people like Al Sharpton and to continue the attack. Very impressed with what's going on in New York City with FBA, especially those young folks in New York. Just that I would urge people not to put too much faith and to support anything that comes from the Daily or the New York Post. They're a bunch of liars as well, and they're also heavily influenced by law enforcement. The Post and the Daily News are basically an outlet for NYPD, one of the most corrupt criminal organizations in this country next to the FBI. However, the Sharptons, the Obamas, Kamala Harris, Biden, Clinton, these people are an enemy to our people, and it's high time that they were called out and dealt with. How do we deal with this? in a legal manner. What is going on right now in the black community cannot be stopped, and reparations is an achievable goal. We are starting to see the peaks of the mountains off in the distance. But this time, we're not walking anymore, we are flying. We're on a train. We are moving faster than ever before, and these things have the potential to happen. And it's not lost on me how these black people involved with the Democratic Convention are not willing, are not even wanting to see reparations happen. They are more concerned with their own personal gains and benefits than they are with the community. The DNC pushes immigration. They push LGBT. They push white women. They push law enforcement. Every group that I just named are all anti-black racists and must be dealt with. And being dealt with they are. Even moves like this from an individual, making statements at the National Action Network. Well, that's not an individual. That is a nation of 43 million foundational black Americans taking steps to get this thing in America under control. Keep in mind that in the future, you will see the FBI try to smear people publicly. Be vigilant and do not let yourself be influenced by these maniacs and these criminals that call themselves federal law enforcement. Because if your heart is in the right place, such as Marion Barry, who was publicly embarrassed by law enforcement, the people will still have your back. The reason why the people do not have the back of Al Sharpton is because he is against people like Melrose. He is against the foundational black American movement. They know who FBA is. They know what the movement is. They know who the influencers are. I'm hearing people like Michelle Obama saying things like janky, using words that people like Tariq Nasheed use a lot. Why? Because they understand where this thing is going. But do not let it be lost that the Democratic Party and the Republicans, for that matter, are so obsessed with hurting and harming black people that they would rather lose elections than do right by the people. The only way they will win from now on is if they adhere to the black agenda. That is reparations and a black hate crime bill, amongst other things. For instance, I demand that gun rights be restored for people that have had their nose clean of felonies for at least 5 years. That includes violent felonies. Qualified, sovereign immunity, and other forms of immunity need to be stripped from federal law enforcement and from state level or municipal law enforcement. All political leaders arrested during the civil rights movement in the 1960s need to be released, starting with Mumia Abu-Jamal. Certain states and or land need to be allotted for foundational black American use only. That does not mean we cannot live or use other parts of the country, but let's say Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C., North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina should all be places that are federally recognized as foundational black American lands. These areas should be tax exempt, so on and so forth. As I see moving forward, FBA is on the right track. I did a video earlier about these immigrants that are being deported to third-party countries such as Costa Rica. While I do not agree that people should be sent to somewhere that they are not from, it is good to see action being taken against those that are anti-black, which includes Latino immigrants, Asian immigrants, Arab immigrants, East Indian immigrants, and unfortunately some African and Caribbean immigrants. Now, I don't have a problem with my Caribbean or African immigrants per se, but let's understand many of these people are involved with the FBI. They come here, they get involved in law enforcement, such as the Nigerians in the penal system in Texas, such as Haitians in the penal system in Florida, and they mistreat our people. So no, I did not vote for the Republicans, but I kind of sort of hope that they stay in office, because what you see from the Democrats with people like Al Sharpton and Obama, and we can go on down the list, Kamala, and the people that support them. These anti-black groups, such as the LGBT white supremacists, such as law enforcement white supremacists, are doing a lot of damage. But fortunately, that damage is being mitigated by the foundational black American coded movement. Keep up the good work, FBA. Great job from Brother Melrose. More of this to come. It's getting bigger. It's getting badder. It's getting blacker. I am Raw. Leave your comments in the box.